Living on the Coast is proudly brought to you by Holiday Haven Tourist Parks. Planning your next adventure to the South Coast. Visit holidayhaven.com.au for more information.
Hi, I'm Julia, and welcome to Living on the Coast, the Essential Series. A show packed with things to do, things to see, and stories about people and their passions.
Sunday afternoon.
Well, for many years I was a pretty avid soil gardener, but over the last few years with the water restrictions it's been really hard to maintain a soil garden. I'd also been doing for several years an aquaculture course, been a keen fisherman, had seen the effect of dwindling fish stocks, came across the concept of aquaponics, having done a little bit of hydroponics before in my past. I decided that it was just an obvious thing to do, to combine the two and to basically go down the road of growing everything aquaponically. We can grow anything in here. Where there's cabbages in there ready to harvest, there's beetroot, there's silver beet, there's rocket, there's chilies, there's capsicums, there's basil, there's various other herbs, spring onions. Well, aquaponics has probably been around in one form or another for, in some ways, centuries. The Incans used to have a floating raft system where they actually grew their vegetables in one of the lakes and used the fish to fertilise the vegetables. It probably never came into the form it's in today until probably in the 80s, when the Sopranos in America first refined what we call the flood and drain technique. There was some experimentation done earlier by the new scientists who were quite instrumental as well in developing some of the principles. This is all grown in what we call expanded clay balls, which aren't cheap, but they're such an easy material to work with. A lot of other people use straight blue metal, about 20mm blue metal, which is very good for the taller plants like corn and tomatoes. And indeed this bed is top dressed with clay but actually has blue metal in it underneath. One of the beautiful things about aquaponics and growing in clay balls is it's very easy to harvest things, very easy to plant things, very easy to transplant things. And I can quite simply scoop my hand in, and in terms of planting, whether it be a seedling, I can just merely poke it in, leave it like that, and that plant will suffer virtually no transplant shock whatsoever. If you came back tomorrow, you'll see that plant is basically unaffected. Aquaponics is essentially a combination of aquaculture, the growing of fish, and hydroponic principles for the growing of vegetables. In normal aquaculture we have a problem with the fish wastes and the ammonia they produce basically loading the water full of nutrients. Now those nutrients need to be cleaned and removed from the water for the sake of the fish health themselves. So this system is stocked with quite a few yabbies. They help clean up a lot of the stuff off the bottom of the tank. Aquaponics is extremely water efficient. It would use probably about a 10% of the water that a normal soil garden would use, and that water loss is only due to transpiration through the plant leaves themselves. Alright, so this is my main trout tank. There's about 250 rainbow trout in here. Trout are such a fun fish, so here are some of our rainbow trout. Aquaponics has become almost mainstream now, not only in terms of backyard food production, but ever increasingly in terms of commercial production. The flood and drain model of aquaponics perhaps doesn't scale to a commercial scale, whereas the floating raft techniques do, but they don't require a huge amount of land, and in terms of the yield for the footprint, they'll beat almost any other food production system hands down.
That's it for this week. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you want to see more of the program, go to livingonthecoast.info for more videos, and while you're there, sign up to our newsletter to keep updated with what's happening on the show. Tune in next week for more Living on the Coast, the Essential series. Good night.